Hello and welcome to Society Girl Saves the World, and today under discussion is a film by the name of Disco Dancer. It's in Punjabi from Pakistan, and you could be forgiven if you thought Disco Dancer, released in April of 1987, was the Pakistani version of Saturday Night Fever or Roller Boogie or Thank God It's Friday, but it wasn't. Brothers, or maybe it's father and son, Zahoor Hussain Jilani and Manzoor Hussain Jilani were the producer and director of this Punjabi action crime masala melodrama with a strong feminist message. The film featured unrivaled queen of the Punjabi scene from back in the day, Anjuman, who has a double role and is supported by a sterling cast including Yusuf Khan, Asif Khan, Tariq Shah, Shiva from Nepal, who had become quite popular in Pakistan, as well as Sangeeta and Nemat Sarhadi as the Tarzan-like Shera Jungli. There's also Khanam chewing up the scenery as Madam. The film begins with a wealthy young couple leaving for a weekend to their privately owned forest along with their two infant daughters. They're off to visit their friend Shera, who lives deep in the forest and looks after their vast estates for them. The super-rich couple seem to have everything in life that anyone could wish for. A fabulous multicolored house, numerous servants and sari-clad maids, and a couple of swank Toyotas in which to zip around their vast property. The only thing they seemingly need in order to achieve nirvana is a proper heir to their millions, as the two kids they have are unfortunately girls and they yearn for that elusive son. On the way to the forest, they have an unfortunate collision with a tree, but it has a disastrous and rather bizarre effect on the tycoon, who leaps out of the car and proceeds to perform about 35 somersaults and rolls for hundreds of meters. He tries desperately to protect the infant in his arm, but sadly ends up in a heap, dying and leaving the poor child defenseless in the middle of nowhere. The unfortunate mother, meanwhile, appears mysteriously beside a nearby stream as a result of the terrible accident, gasping for breath. Shera Jungli, who happened to be climbing some trees nearby, hears the commotion and comes hurtling to the rescue, only to find the mother in dire straits. She hands Shera the child and asks him to promise that he care for her as his own, before she drops stone cold dead.
Begum! उन्हां भी जाओ।
अच्छा मैं आ रही हूँ। ਅਸੀਂ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਘਰ ਦਾ ਖਿਆਲ ਰੱਖਣਾ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫਿਕਰ ਨਾ ਕਰੋ ਬੇਗਮ ਸਾਹਿਬਾ।
आहा बेटा आंटी को टाटा करो बेटी।
टाटा टाटा टाटा।
बैठो बेगम, चलो ड्राइवर।
ਅੱਜ ਪੂਰੇ 1 ਸਾਲ ਬਾਅਦ ਅਸੀਂ ਫੇਰ ਆਪਣੇ ਉਸ ਜੰਗਲ 'ਚ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਸ਼ੇਰਾ ਜੰਗਲੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਜਾਨਵਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਡਾ ਇਸਤਕਬਾਲ ਕਰੇਗਾ।
हाँ बेगम, शेरा इंसान दे रूप विच फरिश्ता है। हुण ते मेरी दुआ है रब सानू एक पुत्तर दे दे।
सरताज, जिस रब ने ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ 2 ਧੀਆਂ ਦਿੱਤੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਉਹ ਪੁੱਤਰ ਵੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਦੇਗਾ। ਉਹਦੀ ਰਹਿਮਤ ਤੋਂ ਨਾ ਉਮੀਦ ਹੋਣਾ ਗੁਨਾਹ ਹੈ।
मालकन, की हो गया मालकन? मालिक किथे?
एक्सीडेंट विच साडा सब कुछ बर्बाद हो गया शेरे।
नहीं मालकन नहीं।
शेरे, तकदीर नू ऐ मंजूर सी शेरिया, तू इस बच्ची नू संभाल के रखी।
ऐ ना कहो मालकन।
शेरे वादा कर, तू इस बच्ची नू कभी मां प्यो दी कमी महसूस नहीं होन देगा।
मालकन, मैं वादा करना कि मैं इस बच्ची नू मां बाप दी कमी महसूस नहीं होन देगा।
The first daughter is discovered by a roaming gang of criminals who are delighted to find a fat wad of cash in the dead tycoon's pocket, and even happier when they discover a child beside him wearing a shiny golden locket. They haven't any use for the toddler and are about to hurl her physically to the other end of the forest when one of the lesser nasty hoodlums, the chubby blonde one with a really hot weave, asks to keep the child for himself. The boss reckons it's a bad move, but he is assured that she will be raised to be an asset to their crime business, and so he relents. So, one girl is with Shera Jungli while the other is taken away to the city to become part of the Dawn's criminal disco-based operation. Shera Jungli, who is a rather portly but fearsome version of Tarzan, meets the Stone Man, teaches his adopted daughter how to fight, hunt, and protect herself from the dangers that the jungle beholds. The two of them often have fierce jostling battles as practice, just to maintain their edge against any fearsome intruders of the forest, as well as any from the city. Shera's adopted daughter Lali grows from an ugly duckling to a gorgeous Jane-like jungle beauty, and the two of them live contented, oblivious lives out there in the forest with an array of fearsome wild beasts surrounding them. Judging by their attire and training, we can assume that they are hunters in the forest, simple but good folk. We learn that the other sister has grown up as the gorgeous bombshell Disco, and her role in the crime gang is to entrance the police, as well as all car owners with her spectacular disco dances, while her partners make off with an array of cars and go on looting sprees all over the city.
Very good, Disco, very good. तू डांस एहो जिहा करनी है कि लोग तेरे डांस विच खो जांदे ने ते साडे साथी आसानी नाल कारा चोरी कर लेंदे ने.
थैंक यू बॉस.
तेरे डांस विच एहो जिहा जादू है कि लोग देखते ही पागल हो जाते ने.
मेरे लिए क्या हुक्म है बॉस?
तू हुण जा सकनी है. तेनू नवे प्लानिंग दी इतला दे दी जाएगी.
ओके, नो प्रॉब्लम. एवरीथिंग इज ओके?
ओके.
Let's go.
One day, back in the jungle, Lali spots a handsome stranger played by Asif Khan who takes a terrible tumble from his horse and is badly wounded. The sweet and innocent Lali, fearing for the stranger's safety, decides to rescue him and carry the unconscious fellow home. Then, with the help of some wild plants and potions that Shera collects, Lali nurses the stranger called Amjad back to health and finds herself feeling a stirring of never-experienced strange sensations. The city man explains to her that these are the pangs of love, and she blushes and giggles profusely before breaking out into a splendid dance number in the forest to express her joy and delight.
पापा कहता है इस जंगल विच हर किस्म दी जड़ी बूटी है जेड़ी वड्डे तो वड्डा जख्म भी पार देंदी.
मैं तन्नू किवें समझावां लाली. ए जख्म नहीं परना, ए दिल दा दर्द है.
हाँ हाँ, तू मैनू जख्म खाबाऊ फिर वेखी तेरा जख्म किवें पारदा है.
अच्छा
हाँ
ते फिर मेरी अखां च वेख.
Shera Jungli feels some type of way about Amjad and isn't quite convinced. He refuses to allow Lali to go off to the city to be married. He has a fantastic mini meltdown as he vents about the perils of lust and demands that Amjad return with his family elders to ask for Lali's hand in marriage, as is the traditional manner. And until that happens, the deliriously happy couple must wait. Lali is terribly excited, but for the moment she has to bid farewell to her fiancé, who heads back to the city, where we learn to our shock and horror that he already has a harem full of wives. An entire posse of women have been duped and then forcibly turned into prostitution by his evil and formidable elder sister, known as Madam. Together with his sister, Amjad runs a highly profitable money-spinning club for gentlemen. Dare any of the wives complain about their treatment, Madam has them crucified like Jesus Christ and lashes them with a steel-tipped leather whip, taking great delight in pulverizing the terrified women into abject submission.
मैडम इनकार सुन दी नहीं, इकरार कहन दिया दिए. मैं इस घर च नूं बन के आई हां मैडम, ते नोवा करदा मुंह हुंदियां ने. मैं अमजद दी बीवी हां, नसरीन परवीन शगुफ्ता. इन्हां भी अमजद नाल शादी कीती सी. ए भी इस घर च नोवा बन के आईयां सी, पर इन्हां दे मुंहां ते मार तमाश इन्हां ने लाई इनकार करेंगी तो तेरी मां भी खुदकुशी करके मर जाएगी जिवें अद्धी मां मर गई सी इकरार करेंगी ते सारी जिंदगी खुशियां नाल खेडदी रहेंगी ऐ सुन मैं किसी गैर मर्द के सामने अपने जिस्म की नुमाइश नहीं करांगी बकवास बंद करनी जगू बकू ऐस गुस्ताख नु ले जाओ ते ऐदी आकड़ी हुई तौण नु चुका दियो
Madam also thrives on the local orphanage from where she procures suitable girls, has them marry her brother, and once they are brought home, she forces them into the lucrative flesh trade, reaping huge rewards she shares with her brother. We now realize that Shera's instinct was on point about the dastardly Amjad and that hell awaits poor Lali if she leaves the jungle for the big bad city. Little does the innocent Lali know that her impending marriage is actually a deadly trap, and once snared, she will be thrown to the wolves night after night after night. One of the girls tricked by Amjad from the orphanage is Sangeeta, who is confronted by two slimy studs on her wedding night instead of the husband she thought she had married. She subsequently puts up some fierce resistance before Madam once again forces the upper hand, and poor Sangeeta is subdued, at least momentarily. Madam and Amjad seemingly have it all worked out and are laughing all the way to the bank, accumulating helpless and hapless women and putting them to work. Madam has a legion of daughters-in-law lined up to be thrashed and whipped into sadistic compliance and exploited for all their worth. She has her henchmen, Shabu and Babu, routinely administer the girls with deadly and addictive drugs to break their will and force them to submit to a life of debauchery and sin. She rules the brothel with an iron fist. When Amjad shows his sister a photo of the jungle beauty Lali, her eyes light up and she's hurriedly packing her bags, heading off to the forest to deceive Shera and secure the girl she reckons has what it takes to become her number one draw card and bring in huge amounts of revenue.
Yeah!
The veteran star from the 60s, Yusuf Khan, plays an earnest police inspector who also happens somehow or the other to be the abandoned son of a deluded underworld boss, superbly played by Tariq Shah.
Very good, Disco, very good.
When the inspector unwittingly adds to the supply of Madam's girls by marrying off his adopted sister to Amjad, it proves to be a tragic mistake, but a fateful one. Then, when a star-struck Lali is soon brought from the jungle, she's mortified to discover her husband's intentions. When she tries to inform Shera of her predicament, Madam threatens murder, thus silencing her. Sangeeta, in a vivacious performance, is the only defiant wife putting up a stoic show of resistance to Madam. She provides some of the highlights of the movie, but ultimately her brave plans of an attempted revolution against Madam and Amjad is thwarted as one of the wives is martyred on the way to the police station on the doorstep of justice. It remains to be seen if the dastardly Madam and callous Amjad will be exposed. Will valiant Shera find out the truth about Lali's terrible situation? Will the police inspector discover that his sister is now a call girl? Will the disco dancer be reunited with her sister? Will Inspector Yusuf Khan discover that the crime kingpin and Don has forced his sweetheart Disco into a life of crime? Will Sangeeta's revolt ever come to pass? And where does Shera get his fabulous headgear? The film escalates to a dizzying climax and all the loose ends finally come together in a thrilling, dramatic style. In the acting department, Anjuman, who headlines the movie, doesn't really have that much to do despite the double role, and after the initial flurry as the jungle girl, Lali, Anjuman's city girl persona Disco performs delightfully to the film's plagiarized title song, but the other songs are well below the mark. For once, Anjuman is overshadowed by Sangeeta and Khanam. Shiva, the Nepali import, has a small part but shouts with gusto whenever he's on screen. Yusuf Khan's role as the inspector is dull, and his romance with Disco slows the otherwise rapid pace of the film. The movie is dominated undoubtedly by Khanam as the diabolical madam, and also to some extent by Shera, who is simply electric as the stubby Tarzan clone primitive jungle man.
ते दुआ बन जाती है ए अख फिरे ते बेवफा बन जाती है जे होई अख रुके ते कदा बन जाती है जे तू वाकई लाली नाल प्यार करना है ते फिर जा अपने किसे बड़े नु बुला.
Shera Jungli's exchanges and dialogue delivery are simply sensational and worth watching the movie for on their own strength. The city crime don, played by Tariq Shah, is a bumptious loudmouth with an impressive belly. It's the perfect caricature of the typical Lollywood badass villain, and Shah is obviously a seasoned hand at it. The plot is wonderfully woven, and the moral feminist slant elevates proceedings beyond normal expectations. The selection of wigs, mustaches, and jungle costumes, with special props to Shera Jungli's amazing glow-in-the-dark headgear, continues Lollywood's excellent tradition in that particular department. On the whole, Disco Dancer is wonderfully fast-paced, high-voltage stuff. The first half is occasionally breathtaking, but things begin to falter just a bit in the second half, with some needless romance comedy, a couple of extended fight scenes, and one too many songs that could certainly have gotten the chop. But that is soon forgiven once we're into the rip-roaring climax scene with some startling violence and superb and super dramatic confrontations. One of the movie's strengths is the superlative synth-based music score, which fizzes and pops with vigor, heightening the thrills and dramatics on screen. The film is a heady concoction of typical Lollywood formula: lost children, family lockets, supreme sacrifices, forests with jungle men, and so on, but done with so much magnificent style that it manages to enthrall for the most part. Yes, the film could have benefited with some judicious editing of about 30 to 45 minutes, but even then, Disco Dancer is an unmissable treat, containing an irresistible dose of the finest masala ingredients that make for a highly charged and explosive ladies' first choice melodrama. Khanam as Madam provides one of the truly magnificent villainous performances of Pakistani cinema history, with her expressions and body language exuding menace and evil from every sinew, and together with Shera Jungli and Sangeeta, they propel Disco Dancer to the memorable roller coaster experience that it is. On the whole, it's a slightly uneven ride, but an insanely entertaining experience that is well worth a look in for fans of true masala Pakistani Punjabi cinema, with a strong accent on powerful women. Highly recommended indeed. And with that, we come to the end of another episode of Society Girl Saves the World. Hope you enjoyed it and that you'll be rejoining us again in a fortnight's time. Until then, do stay safe. Bye-bye.